Let's get started. I need to share my screen. Okay, so today we'll talk about agile methodology. Okay, so agile is a bigger term, umbrella term, and Scrum is one of the agile methodology. Okay, we can have multiple agile methodology. One of the methodology is Scrum. Okay, so we'll talk about Scrum. So far what we have seen here in terms of software development life cycle, okay, or the processes. Okay, so see, the processes were those 7 or 8, okay, right from BA till maintenance, right? But the way it is conducted is different, right? So the traditional model, they'll speak about traditional model or waterfall model. Okay, so there you have one phase. It says that, okay, perform all the tasks in that phase, then move to next, so that you don't have to come back to the previous step. In V-shaped, we have seen that, you know, 2 of the steps would go in parallel, right? Those 2 similar steps, right, where things are similar will happen in parallel. Then we discover RAD and JAD. There are special cases, okay? You can't use RAD or JAD for a big project as such. This is for a special case where you need BA and developers together, and you saw the processes. Now we talk about the agile methodology, okay? And most of the development these days, still traditional has its own advantages. We'll talk about when we are done talking about agile. But most of the project, okay, I would say 90% of the project uses agile. Not only software development, agile is also like kind of, you know, has gone into related fields. Even people in the sales also, they start following agile, okay, because this is very useful. Okay, here you don't have to wait for months or weeks to get an update. Okay, so that's why this has become the popular method of conducting any project, basically. Okay, so so we spoke about classical method. So problem is that there's a huge effort that has to go into every stage. Okay, and when you move to the next stage and you realize that something has gone wrong in the previous stage, it is a very difficult process, okay, to come back and fix it. Okay, and especially, you know, if you remember on very first day we spoke about the problems why BA as a process had to be developed, right? We spoke about projects not getting completed on time, okay, or budget, okay, and you end up creating wrong requirements while using customers, you know, this is not what I wanted. So also poor requirements, and initially, like, you know, here, see, you're doing when you do a project, neither you have a complete understanding nor your stakeholders. So they know the problem, right? But they don't know the exact solution. So it does take time for them to understand, and when they realize that, you know, what they told you is not right or needs to be changed, modified, okay, and since you're already in the next stage, you can't go back to the previous stage, right? So to address all those challenges, especially in software world, what they say is software world is very dynamic. Okay, you can always go back and rewrite code, right? So it didn't make sense to follow classical method. So they said, okay, we need to have something which is more agile in nature. Okay, you can switch the path. Okay, and that's how the agile software development concept came into picture. Here the focus is on individual and interaction, okay, over processes and tools. So if you see, the role of BA also has got changed. Okay, now whatever we have discussed so far as a BA role holds true in a traditional environment. Okay, we did that, right? We did one phase, then we went to next, so on. But in newer setup, okay, you don't have the concept of business analyst. Okay, they call them a product owners. Okay, now at a core, the roles are same. Okay, the job that you do is exactly the same that we discussed. Okay, but there's a change in approach. Basically, here focus is more on interaction. You are supposed to interact and tell your team what needs to be done than creating these lengthy documents. Okay. Earlier, we used to create 80, 100 pages document which talks about almost all kinds of requirements. But that has gone. You end up creating only 5 or 6. It's like you create a document, you give it to the team to work. So next week or next 15 days, team will be working on what you gave, and parallelly, you are also working on next set of requirements. Okay. So the approach and all the basic concepts remain same. Just that the way you would deliver or you work is different. Now there's a continuous. There's a continuous work that you have to do. Okay. So you give a set of requirements to the development team, then again you start working for the next cycle. The focus, as I said, is more on individual interaction, okay, what they need, rather than creating a process, having a tool, creating a formal documents and things like that. Here, software is important than a documentation. Now, documentation is important when we spoke about software development, because in future, if somebody has to go back and relook, modify. So today, you can make the software by talking to BAs on day-to-day basis. But tomorrow, if you have to make any changes, you won't be able to do that. So what it says is, okay, yes, you focus on development of software, and parallelly you develop the documents. Documents is important, so you will end up creating those documents, okay? But it's no longer that you do and then somebody else will do it. Okay, so somebody else will develop it. Development and documentation happens together, okay? Now, you have customer collaboration over contract negotiation, okay? So again, in traditional, you would create and then customer would say, no, this is not what I wanted. Then you go back and say, no, see, this is what you said. And more often the cases will go to courts saying that, no, I have done this, okay, and this is customer stakeholder will say, this is not I had asked, okay, and you will say, no, this is what they had said, and this is what I've delivered, right? So so it is a big problem, okay, earlier, and what do you say? The focus, as I said, right? So here, like as a customer, you won't be able to see the product until it is delivered, okay? So it might take 6 months, 1 year to deliver, and then they realize, oh, this is not what I wanted. And you may not even want to rework, okay? That would mean investing money again, right? Customer will say, no, this is not what I wanted, so why should I pay? And you say, no, if you need new motivation, you need to pay. So things would, as I said, right, might get into can take a wrong turn, and sometimes things have gone into courts as well. So what it says is, no, let's evaluate on day-to-day basis. I mean, day-to-day basis is too much, maybe on weekly or bi-weekly or fortnightly kind of setup, or maybe monthly, not more than month, okay? So 15 days is what most of the things prefer, or at max 1 month. So there's a monthly review which happens when customer sees the working product, okay? Now imagine, okay, instead of doing those 7 steps over 7 months, okay, you are doing small bit of all the 7 steps every 2 days, okay? So if you're doing every 2 days, within 15 days, one cycle is complete. So every 15 days, you are delivering a software, okay? Or every month, okay, if you say 4 days, every month you're delivering a software, right? So customer, if customer doesn't agree, right, at max, you will have to rework one month of thing only, right? Not 1 year of stuff. So customer collaboration is important. Customer also feels part of the process rather than customer waiting and doing the evaluation. Customer is also included in the discussion, and respond to change is faster. Okay, you don't have to make 1 year plan, you just have to make a month or 2 plan, okay? And then if something needs to be changed, you can easily change it. That's how the agile, what you call the manifesto or the objectives of agile software development is this. Focus on individual, focus on working software, make customer work with you, and finally respond to change immediately. Okay, so these are some of the methods: Scrum, Extreme Programming, ASD, DSDM. These are some of the agile methods, but Scrum is again among all these. Scrum is the most popular one, and there are many bodies which provide certifications. Okay, there's one for which I'm also part of. So they provide certifications. But the number one, okay, the most preferred among all those is Agile Alliance. Okay, so Agile Alliance website, you can go and you can actually see the steps and certifications. If you're interested in, you can do that. Okay, but yes, there are other bodies also. Okay, so what is the Scrum? Okay, Scrum is, of course, as I said, it is the part of the agile methodology, right? It's one way of implementing agile methodology, one of the ways to implement. Okay, it comes from this rugby football, rugby football or American football, which is adaptation of rugby. So when they start the game, right? So all the team members will come closer, and the ball is tossed. Okay, so they call it a scrum in rugby, and that's what they borrowed the term. Okay, here also, when you start a project, when you start working together on a project, all the teams come together, and the project is tossed, in the sense requirements are given to the members. Okay, and then they start to work together. Okay, so what is Scrum? Scrum is agile, lightweight process for managing and controlling software development, right? Software development, or the product development, or enterprise applications development. Okay, and very suited in rapidly changing environment. When the environment is not changing, when it's stable, then the traditional model, the waterfall model, is the preferred one. Okay, there is no confusion as such. Things will not change, right? So when you are launching a rocket, right, in such case things will not change, because before you start building, a lot of research will be done. You'll have very clear thing about what needs to be done. So in such cases, okay, you don't need agile because the requirements are very clear. They would have done the requirements months before actually building the software, right? And most of the research are consistently happening. So there it makes sense, okay, because you don't want to take a risk with high value things, right? If you want to launch a rocket, and if because of some software, and it has happened before, okay, software bugs have crashed rockets as well. So if you just search, you'll get many such cases. So you don't want, okay, so that's why they would have the requirements clear, okay, because in Agile, the focus is on how to get the software faster. Okay, so you have an idea. How do you get that idea as fast as possible to the market? Okay, but in some cases, like I just said, rocket development, it's not about how fast, right? It's about how well you perform, right? Because the stakes are very high, the cost, and the, if it's a manned mission, then like human lives is also at risk, right? Unlike developing a website, or developing a mobile app, or developing a, an application, okay, there probably speed is preferred over accuracy, right? You can always go back and change the accuracy, you can change the code if it doesn't work, right? But not in the rocket launching. So okay, so that there is the advantage of using in traditional model. But here, see, situations where you need to be agile, you are working to develop things faster, agile is preferred. So Scrum is an iterative, incremental process. Iterative means you come back to it. Okay, 1 to 7, 1 to 7, 1 to 7. So right, you start with step 1, that is DA, the requirements registration. 7 is your maintenance phase. So 1 to 7, and again you come back to 1 to 7. Again you come back and say 1 to 7, right? So that's called iterative. So you instead of doing one iteration, here you're having multiple iteration. One. Second thing is incremental. Okay, so every iteration you are developing something new. Okay, every iteration you are adding value to the product, right? So that's why it's called incremental, okay, iterative and incremental. Iterative, you're repeating stuff, but you're not repeating same thing. Every iteration you're developing something more than what you had done before, right? So it is iterative, incremental. Team-based approach, we saw that Agile is focused on teams, so it is team-based approach. It's used for developing applications, product, rapidly changing environment. Requirements will change, right? So whatever you plan today and next year you try to implement it, things would change. So there, speed is important. But when you talk about rocket launching, right, requirements won't change after a year or after 10 years, correct? So yes, so there Agile may not be good, but here when things get changing rapidly, okay, you want to do Agile. If there's a demand for certain product today and you start building and you take time, okay, by the time you are in market, already there are many players and who have already taken the market, right? So you have lost opportunities, right? So that's the thing. So here it is all about iterative, incremental, team-based approach, developing system products in the rapidly changing environment, controls the chaos of conflicting interest and need. That has to be there. Improve communication and maximize cooperation, because the team-based approach, communication is important. Protecting the team from disruptions and impediments. Okay, impediments means blockage. Okay, you don't know what to do next. So, okay, you are protecting the team and making them successful together. And way to maximize productivity, that is true. So here, this is, the productivity here in such scenarios is much higher than the traditional method. And when we get into details, you will see why. Okay, so this is the Scrum process. Okay, what you see is one cycle of Scrum, or we call it as Scrum only. Okay, so the Scrum is one cycle. Day one, okay, it could be 2-week cycle or 4 weeks. Okay, generally people prefer 4 weeks, but you will even 6 to 8 weeks and 2 weeks. But 2 weeks is too short duration, and 6 to 8 is too long, right? So most of the time people follow monthly cycle, but yes, you can have fortnightly or 8 weeks kind of cycle also. So on day one of the cycle, the product owner, the BAs, okay, the BA is the product owners, they will give the requirements list. Okay, so these are the things that they have found out, and these are top 10 requirements. Okay, you give the top 10 requirements. They will take it and they can decide which one to leave out. Okay, because if you have given more requirements than they can deliver, right, they cannot promise to deliver everything, right? So they have opportunity to choose what they want to deliver. As a BA, product owner, you have ability to give them what is important. You don't give them what is not important, right? So that, if they choose, they don't choose things which are not important, right? So you select the important ones, give them, and they, based on the availability and other things, they'll decide, okay, which one to do. So that's called a sprint backlog. Okay, so product backlog is what you give as a BA. Sprint backlog is what they select from what you give to be developed in that sprint. So that's sprint. Now, every day, okay, you will have meeting in the morning. So day one, you get the sprint backlog, you divide the teams, you assign the task. Okay, so all those things happen on day one. Once you assign the task, from next day onwards, they have to give you update on what's happening. We call it a Scrum meeting. Okay, many times you will hear that I have a Scrum meeting. Scrum meeting is a short meeting, okay, where it happens every day, where you stand up and say, okay, this is what I have done in last 24 hours, right? So it happens daily, right? So you have opportunity to talk about your work on everyday basis, right? So you'll say, this is what I have done yesterday, and this is what I plan to do today. Okay, so you're saying what you will do today and what happened yesterday. That's it. You're not going too behind too much into past, and you're not going too much into future also. Okay, this is what I did yesterday, and this is what I'm doing today. Okay, that's what happens in Scrum meeting. Okay, so the importance is, let's say you were working on something yesterday and you got stuck. You don't know how to move ahead. So when you don't know how to move ahead, you can, okay, in this meeting, Okay, this meeting is very short. It's supposed to be very short, 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, not more than that. So you just say what problem you have. Okay, this is not um, a problem solving session. Okay, this is more of a letting your manager or leads know the problem that you are facing. So it is chaired by Scrum Master. So you'll have Scrum Master, okay, which will make sure, okay, that you do not have any problem or any challenge working. Okay, so you tell them that you have a problem. Now, they will not start solving it. Okay, so they'll hear from everybody. Okay, and once that is done, right, then your Scrum Master will come to you. So if you say that you don't have any problem, this is what you had planned yesterday and you delivered, and this is what you have for today, you are going to deliver. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, then nobody will ask you question. But if you say that no, I'm facing problem, I got stuck here, I'm not moved, so they will, after the meeting is over, okay, not during the meeting, okay, because if they start talking to you, others' time will also get wasted, right? So they don't want to waste everybody's time. So it's okay, let's connect after the call. So when the meeting is done, that's when your Scrum Master will come to you and ask you what problem you have, how can we help it, okay? So the productivity maximization, okay, this is how productivity maximization happens here. Okay, you got stuck today, tomorrow morning only you'll get help. Okay, not like you sent an email to somebody, not available, they'll reply at their convenience, you don't know whom to approach. Okay, main thing is you don't even know who can help you, first of all, right? So here Scrum Master's job is that, okay, and Scrum Master is not able to know, yes, he or she is supposed to find out, okay, and then help you with that. So, okay, so here you are not sitting with a problem for long. Okay, you will get immediate help. Make sense? Okay. So, okay, so that's the everyday meeting, and end of the process. Okay, end of your Scrum, you will have your final product. That's why it says potentially. Okay, of course you don't mean to ship out to customer, but you can. That's why it says shippable product increment. Okay, so you will not be sending to customer every month. Okay, maybe you're sending customer every 2 months or 3 months or whatever, but it should be in a ready to be sent. If a customer says I want it, you should be able to send it. Okay, so every month you are delivering a working product. Okay, so that's how the Agile is different, or the Scrum works. Clear on this?
Sure.
Yes. So this is what Scrum is all about. Now, next few slides, we'll talk about few steps, the processes and teams in little more detail. Okay, so components of Scrum, the things that you need to know, the 3 things you need to know. The Scrum roles, what are the different roles that people play, the process itself, and what are the artifacts, okay, what all are the different charts and diagrams, and that you need to keep track to understand the progress and keep track the work. Okay, so first thing is Scrum role. So the first role is called Scrum Master. Okay, Scrum Master is like project manager. Okay, in the old traditional style, product managers are like Scrum Master. So they are they represent the management into the event, and they are the ones. Okay.
They are the ones who lead the team.
So are you talking?
No. So I just took a pause here about Scrum Manager, Scrum Master. Okay. Okay. So see, the thing here is they represent the management, right? So they are the ones who will talk to you on everyday basis. Talk to you in the sense, I'm talking about a developer, okay, not as a business analyst. but as a developer, they are the ones who will be talking to you on everyday basis. Okay, so they, if you have any problem, they are the ones whom you will approach, and they will help you to rectify the problem. Okay, so okay, and they are also responsible for whatever things that we're going to learn, right, as part of Scrum thing. They will actually help you to so let's say if you have any problem, you don't know how to move ahead, okay, they'll help you. You don't know what is the what is the process, okay, how does, like, some of you could be first time into the process, right? So they will help you to, okay, to mitigate, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the role of Scrum Master. Now your Scrum team, okay, typically 8 to 10 members, okay, and depending, see, every Scrum, right, okay, or the sprint that we call, okay, the smaller cycle is called sprint, and the whole project is called Scrum. So the team can change only when you're starting a next sprint. You saw that cycle, right? Product backlog to deliverable. So that is one cycle, right? One sprint. So you can only change the team, okay, before start of the sprint, okay, not during the sprint. So depending upon in which phase you are at, okay, initially you might have more of developer, later you might have more of tester. So depending upon what needs to be done, you will select your team, okay, and it's supposed to have everyone, because you are doing all the 7 to 8 stages, isn't it? So when you're doing all the 7 stages, you need everybody, right? You need UI designers to give you the UI design, developer to code, tester to test. That's when you will release your product, correct? So it's a cross-functional team, and all the members are full-time. In the sense, in normal projects, it's possible to see that one person may be contributing to 2 different projects. You say, okay, you are responsible for 50% on this, 50% on that. 4 hours you have to work on this, 4 hours you have to work on that. Sometimes they'll say 2 hours work here, 2 hours work here, 4 hours work there, right? 25, 25, 50. So you will be working with multiple projects sometimes. Okay, some project might require your heavy involvement, some project might not require your heavy involvement, just your presence is good enough. But here what it says is that people should be dedicated. There is no way to let them work on second project at the same time. And team is self-organizing, okay, so it's right, all the decisions are made by the team and everybody agrees to it, okay. And membership can change only between sprint. Okay, now the product owner, okay, they said they are the stakeholders. They represent the stakeholder. Who talks to stakeholders?
BA.
Right. Okay, so BA creates talks to the stakeholder, and they get it, right? So that's how you have what do you call it? You end up getting
Requirements.
BA role getting transformed as a product owner. So you represent the stakeholder, you act like one voice, okay, knows what needs to be built, okay, and sequence this should be done, in which sequence the building should be done. So that's why you are still doing the same work, okay, getting the requirements and giving to them, but instead of working to get all the requirements, you are okay selecting and telling them what needs to be done, right? And typically it's a product manager or a business analyst who fulfills this role. So we have seen 3 types of role, right? Scrum Master, who is like managing the things on daily basis. They're responsible for running the Scrum meeting, responsible for helping all the team members, making sure the requirements are delivered within the timeline. Then the team itself, and team can be cross-functional, depending upon the kind of work that you are doing. The team has to be full-time, right? You won't be working on 2 different projects at the same time, okay? And then the third role, important role here is the product owner, which is typically people with BA background. And the process itself. So there are 4 things that happens. Sprint planning meeting. Sprint planning meeting is done on day 1, first half. Then you start with sprint. Sprint is the 1 cycle. Then you conduct daily scrum. Okay, daily meeting is called daily scrum. And finally, the review meeting happens on the last day, right? So if you have a 2-week sprint, on the Friday of 2nd week. If you have a 4-week sprint, Friday of 4th week is when you conduct the sprint review meeting. So planning meeting talks about what needs to be delivered. As a team, you will select the backlog, sprint backlog from the product backlog given to you by the product owners. And at the end, you think we are done. This is product is for review. So also, sometimes in the review, they'll invite customers as well. Okay, so planning meeting, it's a collaborative meeting in the beginning of each sprint between the product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. So day 1, okay, you'll have 2 sessions. Okay, your first session, morning session, you'll have all the 3. Okay, when I say all the 3, product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. And the product owner will lay out the plan, tell them what needs to be done. Okay, so it is led by the product owner. After lunch, product owner goes back. It is only the Scrum Master and the team. Okay, and Scrum Master and okay. So in second half, it's only Scrum Master and the team, and they will decide what will be delivered. Okay, what you plan to deliver, that will be done in the second part. That's about the planning meeting. Okay, and then you'll have a kickoff meeting on day 1. Okay, sprint. So sprint can be a month long or 15 days long, 2 weeks long, or 8 weeks long. Mostly it is month long, but as I said, right, you can decide how long will be your sprint. Now, if you decide it to be 1 month, you don't change every time, right? You don't change like, okay, let's do first sprint 2 weeks, then second sprint we'll do 8 weeks, then we'll do 4 weeks. No, when you fix it and you keep doing same thing. Okay, so here is a month long or 2 weeks long or 8 weeks long, whatever you decide that long. Okay, and no outside influence can interfere with the Scrum team during the sprint. Okay, so day 1, product owner will be there, but when everything is decided, what needs to be delivered, okay, you will not have anybody else disturbing you. Okay, it is the team. You'll be interacting, talking to your team. If you face any problem, they'll help you. Okay, that's it. But then it is all up to you and your team. Each sprint begins with a daily Scrum meeting, right? Each sprint begins with a daily Scrum meeting. What is Scrum meeting? So it is a short meeting, 8 to 10 to 15 minutes maximum.
Then it's still connecting.
Yeah. Okay, so daily Scrum, as I said, it's a short meeting, maybe 10 minutes, 12, 15, maximum 15 minutes, right? Not more than that. And it happens on every day, right? So here it is led by Scrum Master, okay, who's the chairperson, and then you have Scrum team, entire team is there, and everybody will have to update what they have done. Okay, so since it happens daily, right, you need to update about what happened yesterday, right, or the previous day. If it's Monday, then of course it's like last working day, right, not just yesterday. So it is about what happens, what happened the previous day, okay, and what you are planning to do today, and if there's any problem or you need any kind of help. And if you don't ask for help, you won't get it. That means you're doing good. But if you're facing problem, you can tell to the chairperson and you will get help. Okay, so it's a chicken and pig story. Okay, dedicated and involved. So there's a story which is behind it, which says that chicken and the pig, they were very good friends. So they decided to start, I mean, nothing to do with Scrum, but that's where the concept has come into, okay? So they both decided to start a restaurant. They said, okay, let's start a restaurant. So now the first thing you have to think about is the name of the restaurant, isn't it? The pig says, or rather, chicken says, okay, let's call it ham and egg restaurant. Okay, ham and egg restaurant. So pig says, no, thank you, I will not partner with you. Chicken was surprised. Why don't you partner with me? Said, okay, I don't want to partner because you will be involved, but I'll be dedicated. You know, the egg means, chicken, we have to just lay the egg and you use the egg, right? But to get ham, you have to kill pig, correct? So when you talk about roles, okay, you will have roles like dedicated and involved. Dedicated are people who are, you know, responsible and who is supposed to deliver, okay, dedicated, like pig for ham. And then involve someone you will involve to get some information. Let's say product owner might get involved to talk about the requirements, right? You might involve experts to get opinion, right? But they are not dedicated. They are not going to own anything. You are owning it, okay? So you become dedicated. Okay, so you'll have dedicated and involved kind of teams. Involved temporary people, they come to help you, guide you, and they will go away. Okay, they are not responsible for doing your work. Okay, dedicated are the ones who are responsible for delivering the work. Every team member should answer 3 questions in the Scrum meeting. What did you do? What did you do since last Scrum? Since it's happening every day, that means what did you do since yesterday, right? So what did you do since last Scrum? What are you doing until the next Scrum? And what is stopping you to getting on with it? First two is clear, but third one is which will raise the red flag. Okay, so like telling that I know yesterday I faced problem. Okay, so that's when the team will try to help you and pull you out of the mess. Okay, so what we need to remember is that daily Scrum, the meeting that happens every day, right? Short meeting, is not a problem-solving session. You're not trying to solve the problem. You just need to know if there is a problem, because problem means, because see here, everybody is involved, right? So if one person misses its target, it might impact other people, and the other person can impact a third person, right? So it can be a problem. So here you're talking about, okay, understanding if everything is going fine. If not, then you have to raise the red flag. So here focus is not to find who is behind and punish, right? You don't want a project to lag, right? That's why you want to find out the reason and you have to solve the problem, not punish the person. Okay, it is a meeting in which team members make commitments to each other, okay? And that's why, see, the productivity high, I said, right, is one reason, because you're committing that I'm going to do this today. If I commit that I'll do this next week, right? So, I can choose to rest for 3 days and then probably start working on 4th, 5th, so on. But when you make commitment, right, because your team, if you don't deliver tomorrow, the other team may not be able to proceed, right? So that's why the focus is more on, okay, is on getting to know the status, not solving. Okay, after Scrum, again, you'll go back to the person and start talking about it so that you don't waste everybody else's time, right? There could be 10 people on the call, and if you start solving a problem, okay, the other people will feel as if the time is wasted, right? So that's the purpose of daily Scrum. The sprint review meeting is held at end of each sprint. When you have done everything, you want to wrap up. So you need to have a sprint. And then the business functionality which was created during the sprint is demonstrated to the product owner. Informal, should not distract the team members of doing their work, okay? It is informal. Since happening every month, it is more like informal. It should not get distracted by what's happening in the meeting. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The last part here is artifacts. What kind of documents, what kind of things that we create, we use. Okay, we'll talk about product backlog, sprint backlog, burn down charts. We know what is product backlog. Requirements, which is given to the team by the product owner, right? And sprint backlog is the requirements that the team has selected. Okay. So the team will read through it and you will select, oh, this I can do, this I can do, right? And then you select the your own sprint backlog, right? Sprint backlog will be a subset of product backlog, okay? And then finally, burn down chart. Burn down chart is a chart which tracks the progress made by the team. Okay, here it's not about individual, it's about the team. Okay, so product backlog is the requirements for a system, right? Expressed as prioritized list of backlog items. Prioritized list is managed and owned by product owners. Spreadsheet typically usually created during sprint and planning meeting, can be changed and reprioritized, okay, before each sprint cycle is there, okay, because once sprint cycle starts, you can't go back and change it. Okay, sprint backlog, a subset of product backlog created by team members only. Each item has its own status, should be updated every day by the people, right? Okay, so the next one is called sprint backlog. Okay, no, sorry, sprint backlog is the previous one only. The next topic which we're going to talk about is talking about how do you represent the sprint backlog, okay, as a task, okay, and how to track, how to read that graph. So that's what we'll see here. So let's assume that, okay, there are some tasks. What it says is you should not have more than 300 tasks in the list. Okay, tasks are each of the things that you're planning to do in that cycle, okay, in that sprint. So that's your okay. So sprint backlog talks about number of tasks. You can choose your own tasks, but it says typically should not be more than 300 tasks, right? And if it requires, like say more, generally each task should be 8 hours, ideally, okay? Because then every day you are taking one topic and you are finishing it, isn't it? So, typically 8 hours, but then of course, not every project you can break down exactly into 8 hours, right? So you can have half an hour also, which is minimum that the people suggest. Less than 4 hours, like 2 hour, 1 hour project is not suggested. Okay, you club two things together. And at max, you can have 16 hours project. Team can add or subtract items from the list. Product owner is not allowed to do it. Product owner will tell these are the priority stuff. Okay, but what is taken, what is going to develop is totally up to the team. And the Scrum Master is actually responsible for managing the team. Okay, so once you know the number of tasks, you can actually create this burn down chart. Okay, what you see is called burn down chart. Okay, it has 4 main areas, okay, or 4 main metrics that it tries to represent. One is the number of tasks, okay, number of tasks, and then talk about hours, okay, task and hours. Okay, let's read this. Okay, first is the bars right here, completed task. So this is day 0, day 1, day 2, and you have day 21, right? So this is a 3-week sprint, okay? Or no, it's a 4-week sprint, right? That's why 21 we got, okay? You have to minus the weekend. So 5 into 4, 20. Okay, so every day, the orange bar represents the number of tasks that you have completed. Okay, so if you have 20-member team, everybody has completed their task, it becomes 20 for that day. Okay, so if you add these all bars together, it is same as the number of completed tasks, isn't it? Okay, so day 1 in the graph, you see day 1, day 2, no new project was delivered. The new project was delivered only on day 3. That's why you see here bar here. Okay, so that's one thing you have to remember here, that it was the completed task you saw was on day 1, and it is approximately about, let's say, 2 days. Okay, 2 tasks. Okay, that is one part which is easy to plot, right? So here it has 2 axes. Okay, on x-axis you have days, on the left side y-axis you have hours. Okay, and the right side y-axis you have count how many, right? You can put this on the other side or hours on the side, right? So as I said, right, we have two metrics we're going to track. One is the count, how many, right, tasks have you completed, how many tasks is pending, and second is the time associated. Okay, so now if you see here, okay, the first we discussed, right, completed task. Second is that blue line with stars metric on it, right? Stars on it, a diamond on it, you can see. So this is called remaining effort. Okay, so remaining effort, okay, is, let's say, I'll write it as well. So let's say you have 10 tasks, and each task is 4 hours, right? The total effort is 40 hours. So on day one, it will be 40 number of, so that you need to complete 40 hours. On day two, okay, 8 hours of work is already done, isn't it? So now you have 32 hours of work left. Okay, day three, you will have 24, right? 24 plus 8 is 32. So 24 hours of work left. Okay, so it should decrease by a straight line, 40, 32, because every day you're losing 8 hours of work. If you have 10 people, they're losing 80 hours of work. But what this graph shows is from what is left, right? So maybe on third day, okay, one of the team members says, I'm not able to progress. So though that guy was supposed to deliver a feature of 8 hours worth of feature, okay, that fellow will now struggle, right? So on that particular day, you will not count 8 from that person's, okay? It is purely based on the work. If the work is supposed to be finished in 8 hours and you have not finished, you have only finished 50% of it. So in the remaining effort, you will subtract only 4 hours, not 8 hours. Though you had 8 hours of time frame, but the other person, because of whatever reason, cannot complete it. Could be technically too strong and you don't know what to do, or whatever reason. So you are able to, okay, know the remaining tasks every day. And this remaining task is the live tracking kind of thing. Okay, not okay. So one day this 8 hours gone, 2 days so 6 hours gone. No. Okay, if you get stuck, it'll count will stop. I mean the hours will stop. But let's say if you're doing something very fast, you can make up also, okay, in the sprint. So that's the blue line. So blue line talks about remaining. When you say effort, it is hours. Okay, so how many hours of work is left? Okay, that you will plot. Then comes ideal burn down. Ideal burn down is the actual way how the remaining effort should look like, right? So ideal means, if you have you are reducing it by 8 every day, you'll get a straight line. But when you see a blue line above this green line, it means that you have lost time. You have to make it faster. Okay, somebody who was supposed to do the work in 2 hours has not done it. It has extended beyond 2 hours. So the blue line should not be, I mean, it will stop the blue line to go on the green line. In best case scenario, your blue line should be along with the red line. That means whatever you have planned, you're executing as per plan, right? The problem comes when you do not have, when your team faces some problem and you are not able to calculate all the 80 hours of effort because of something, some kind of problem that you have, say. Okay, so blue line is the actual effort remaining, and green line is the ideal case. Okay, so by looking at the green line is average. So when you look at the green line, so if the blue line is above green line, it's a matter of concern, right? So as a Scrum Master, you'll try to complete faster. If it is below, that means you are running ahead of schedule, right? So you can actually see whether you're running ahead of schedule or below. Okay, the last one is called remaining task. So this is again number. Okay, first and last is number of tasks. So on day one you have 100 tasks, and you completed 2 tasks on day 2. So on day 2, the remaining task will be 298. right? So that's how you're going to measure, and this is the best way to measure agile workflow, and you can of course reuse for your own purpose too. Is it clear? With that, we finish our topic. Okay, there are some case studies here. You have this PPT. Please go through the case studies and see how they have implemented Scrum in some of the companies there. Is it fine?
Yeah, fine. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Saurav, I don't have this PPT, Agile.
Okay, that's why
Yeah,
I asked you.
even we don't have, sir.
Okay, so I will share. I will share with you.
Agile database and
I'll share. Same location, I'll upload it. I'll share the link also. Individual link also I'll share.
in the chart you will share.
Yes,